would have been a little bit more tactful. So in addition to acceptance of other people, you need to come to terms with your own chronic illness. Acceptance is the big job of the chronically ill. No.
So I've been going down a little bit down the rabbit hole of generally just chronic illness in general, overall patterns a little bit. It's not really for my own research, which I've been doing an extensive amount. It's more for an overall pattern understanding of what kind of things that keep people sick for years and years and years, and that get worse, etc. And they are hard to even diagnose. So what I realized is that something that kind of bothered me in my about like for at least 5 years, just going from doctor to doctor, told that I'm completely fine and normal, and also people around me having trouble understanding or believing there's something wrong. I saw this as a like very an exaggerated version of this to a lot of the people that face chronic illness. When you look at any kind of comments at the top for general chronic illnesses, you'll see a lot of people have something like this: I have an invisible chronic illness. People think I'm lying about being in pain all the time. Thanks for talking about it. Like, this doesn't happen from, this is not a hype. This is not a trend. This is somebody who has significant lower quality of life than the average person. And every people who like this is likely to be in that same boat, or know somebody who's in that same boat. I've suffered from chronic illness ever since I was 20. It breaks my heart that people can't understand what I'm going through. I wish this world would become a happier place full of positive people. Sucks, especially when it's invisible. Videos like this shine some light on it. I mean, I'm just looking at some TED Talk stuff to see what the general overall crowd talks about or what kind of conditions they have.
Number 3. Wheelchairs are not only used for people who are paralyzed or have limited use of their legs. I actually get really scared if I stand up from my wheelchair. I know people are judging because before I got sick, I did the exact same thing. Why would they be using a wheelchair if I just saw them stand up and walk a couple feet? Because that's probably the extent of what that person could do. For me,
this is a powerful message. It's talking about the same thing, and it shows like how much people with chronic illness get affected by the people around them who don't believe what's wrong with them, can't understand it. And I mean, it goes on and on. These are just general videos. If you look through or do 1/10 of the research I do in your condition, then you'd find that a lot of people who have this is one of their biggest challenges. Now, being a guy, it doesn't faze me as much, but it did bother me quite a bit, considering that I'm somebody who doesn't need much, quote unquote support, right? Like, I'm not from America. I don't have like a lot of the traditional need for support that many people cling on to here. Like when I graduate from high school, no parents show up. Graduate from college, nobody realized until months later. Like, I'm not somebody who needs much support or like emotional, like attaboys or something like that. And yet this was something that really bothered me for years. having people around me not understand even what's going on, and some people not believing it. So I can only imagine how hard it is for a female to go through this. I mean, the people I follow now are people who have stuff that I have, like mast cell activation. I follow a few people with CCI, some people who have accidents that damage their neck and have these kind of symptoms that I have, etc. And they face this to a big degree. I mean, generally for girls, it's harder to handle because they are more affected by people around them, and most of the people actually that I'm seeing chronic illness from is mostly girls, right? I think, like, if I had to put a guess, like I would say 70% are girls, maybe 15, 20, 30% is guys, at max 30%, just from what I see on Facebook as I talk to people and stuff like that. And so it's a big deal. It's a big amount of pressure that these girls are having to go through, on top of all the shit they already go through. Now, I wanted to make this video, and I was actually inspired to make this video by somebody that I recently looked at. I mean, not recently, like maybe a month ago, which I cannot find the video for the life of me. But it's somebody who had a lot of my symptoms, and they just passed away. And the video is called Documenting My Last Days. And in that video, she talks about that if she has one word to say before she dies, it was just about this. The fact that the whole time she's been dying and suffering from this for years and years. I think for her it was actually close to a decade. And till the very time of her death, nobody believed her, or could even understand something was wrong, until it got to the point that's very you can kind of you can pretty much tell she looks, you can count all her bones. She got to a point where she was getting oxygen at her house, IV. She couldn't handle any foods. I mean, that kind of description sounds kind of similar with what I have going on right now. The point is, when I went back to that video, the top pinned message was that she passed away. This person right here, Jackie, who has mast cell activation syndrome and a few other conditions, the top message she has is that this is her sister coming and saying that she has passed away. So I am also in that I'm fine this being my last words as well. For this person that I couldn't find on behalf of her and being on that same boat, I think it's worthwhile for me. If I have to say my last words, this would be it. It would be for doctors to learn to say something in the lines of, hey, I don't know what's wrong with you, but clearly something's very wrong. That's it. Instead of saying you are normal and perfect, there's nothing wrong with you. It's for people around you, instead of saying, hey, you look kind of fine, you couldn't find any diagnosis, you're probably fine, or things like that. Instead of all that, just say something like, hey, it's crazy what you're going through. I am grateful that I don't have to go through this. And that would mean a lot to people who are going through stuff like this, because that at least most of these people can handle the truth. It's just the other side of this whole thing, years of suffering and not being understood, that adds an additional pressure. That's it.